I'm a female student in her 20s, attending a big institution in the Midwest. I work as a desk clerk in one of the student libraries, essentially checking out supplies and books, and out offer instructions for the building and surrounding places, assist the customers with what they could require. Additionally, I'm talkative and friendly, which makes me a good customer service employee that people will stop to talk to. By May, I will recognize everyone on a regular basis, and the majority of the people I see in the library are really wonderful people. One evening at about 9 o'clock at night, Mark, another employee of the library, stops by to talk. He works in a different department and is often going around the building, so he regularly walks past my desk and says hello. Knowing myself pretty well, I told him that I wasn't feeling well and was anxious to get off work as soon as possible. He wished me well and continued on his way. While we were talking, a customer had come up behind Mark to wait for my attention, which was understandable given that I work at the front desk. As Mark leaves, the man steps up to take his place in front of my desk. He gives me a glance with an awkward smile on his face. I've seen him a few times walking around, so I didn't think he was homeless or anything. He said he heard that I wasn't feeling well and asked if I wanted him to get me a drink from the vending machine down the hall since the cafe closed today. I politely declined, clearly not wanting to take drinks of any kind from strangers. He seemed a little upset but didn't say anything. He also said he heard that I got off suit and asked, and began to think about my escape routes. There is just one person working at the desk. I can't leave the library alone during weeknights since there aren't many people there, especially since it's spring semester and I have no coworkers to cover my desk. My boss works in the administrative offices on the second level, but since I knew my favorite supervisor isn't here today, I was unable to obtain a supervisor. Down here, I can't really explain the problem over the phone without a good reason because it's right next to me, and this person might listen. Even if I call upstairs, who knows what he would have done in any situation. I turned around, trying to hide my confusion and fear on my face, and started wiping the counters with the disinfectant wipes so I would have something to do instead of staring at this creep for less than a minute. I didn't even turn away from him when I heard clicks on my computer's keyboard. I turned around and saw that he had opened my Facebook page. He must have used the keyboard camera to switch tabs because my Facebook was open. I locked in, but as I stepped away from the computer, it happened in another tap. This is clearly very problematic because this man now knows both my first and last name. I asked him what he was doing as he adjusted the computer at an angle so we could see the screen and was analyzing my profile. At that point, I'm terrified, but to be honest, I was simply mad at him. He continued, "Oh, so your name is Abigail Watson. It's lovely to meet you, of course." I couldn't pretend it was someone else. After all, my profile photo is myself, so this really got to me. I told him that was disrespectful and that it violated my privacy. He said that since it was on a public computer, it was permissible. He then moved to approach me, reached slightly over the desk, and attempted to take my arm. Just as I was about to get hot, Mark came down the stairs and said he had heard me from the stairwell. I must have been shouting very loudly at this point, because Mark could see that I was clearly ticked off when I told him that he had attempted to buy me a drink, led me to my car, and had even gone so far as to take my personal information from my Facebook profile. The man was a rather large, burly guy, and Mark walked right up into his face, telling him to get the hell out of there and forget my name and face. The creeper guy held up his hands and grinned, backing away a few steps. The old, "Hey, it's okay. I'm just seeking to establish a few friends around here." When I warned him I would phone building security if I saw him at my desk again, he yelled at me to get over it and called me ugly names before bolting from the scene. Mark inquired about my well-being, so I requested him to temporarily cover the desk. Minutes later, when I went up to my boss to tell him what had occurred, he was also fairly furious with this person and told me that he would get security to look at the camera video in the hopes that this scum might be identified, and that if he returned, he would be banned. It appears that he had a history of stalking while he was a student here. Female pupils said awful, And you haven't seen him since I reported him to campus police, but he hasn't actually harmed you back. For the past few hours, my sister and mother have been attempting to make sense of this, and the information is becoming less consoling. Mark now makes his rounds at my dad's while I work evenings.